Persistence, flexibility, and lots of faith are key elements to any good mission trip. And sometimes many things have to go wrong in order for the right things to fall into place. This was the story of Ultimate Workout, Maranatha's annual mission trip for high school teens. A story of separate prayers, separated lives, and an intersection of needs and blessings. The narrative begins in Kayenta, a small town in northern Arizona near the Utah border. Located in the Navajo Nation, the majority of the 5,000-person population is Navajo. There are a few businesses for the locals and a couple of hotels to serve the tourists who come by to see the sights. And there are plenty of sights to see. Kayenta is surrounded by beautiful rocks and views, including the iconic Monument Valley, located just 25 miles north. This area is also a place with a lot of Adventist history. This is the former site of the Monument Valley Mission, which had a Seventh-day Adventist hospital, church, and school that served the Navajo people. Unfortunately, all three closed, one by one, starting in the 1990s. The Monument Valley congregation eventually moved to Kayenta, but the hospital was never replaced, nor the school, which is where Kayenta's prayers crossed paths with Maranatha.
This is Kayenta Seventh-day Adventist Community Service Center and Church. We were asked to come to just hold this little band together because when the church closed, it was very upsetting. And so we're here to just hold this little group together. We're trying right now to just meet every week, prayer meeting and church.
Joreen Rollins and her husband Gary have been the caretakers of this property since 2018. They tend to the garden that feeds the hungry. They care for the sick, and they lead worships when the pastor is away.
They know it's a safe place, and that's what we want. We want them to think of Jesus when they come here, and that they're going to get help. They're going to get help.
The Kayenta Church and Community Center is an important presence in the community, replacing what once was in Monument Valley. And while the Adventist Church won't be replacing the hospital, they are asking for one more part of the mission to be fulfilled.
When we first got here, we would have people stop by and say, "Are you going to have a school here? Is there going to be a school here?" Because there's not one in Monument Valley, which is about 25 miles away. And there's public schools, yes, but a solid Christian school, there's nothing in the area, and that's why Maranatha is here.
But long before Maranatha crossed paths with Kayenta, the mission organization was having its own challenges with Ultimate Workout. Last year, in 2020, was the first time in its history that a physical event had to be canceled and replaced with a virtual one. In 2021, Maranatha was hoping to get Ultimate Workout going again.
So Ultimate Workout is Maranatha's annual teen project, and in 2020 and 2021, the project was scheduled for Peru. And due to travel concerns with COVID, we felt it was unwise to continue planning a project in a country where we just didn't know the future of whether or not we'd be able to take the teens there. And so there at Maranatha office, we began to look at different opportunities where we could hold the project here in the United States.
After exploring numerous options, Maranatha came upon Kayenta's request for a school. It had been on the back burner because there was no funding. Then, a generous donor stepped in to get the project off the ground. Suddenly, Ultimate Workout had an intriguing location.
This region of Arizona and Utah and New Mexico that is part of the Navajo Nation is largely underdeveloped. The area is very remote. People live far off the main road on dirt roads. People speak a different language here. They speak the local indigenous language. While many of them do understand English, they prefer to hear things in their native language. The way that many people dress or the distance to different locations, even the landscape, it feels very different than what you would see. We're only about 5 hours from Phoenix, but it really feels like you're in another country.
With the location set, Maranatha began planning, and in July 2021, after a 2-year pause, Ultimate Workout was finally up and running once more. and nearly 80 volunteers, including adult staff, made their way to home base at the Adventist Church in Kayenta.
So the place that we are staying here with the group of about 80 people is a church, right? It's a big parking lot, it's an empty property, and there's a community center and church buildings and a kitchen. They have a kitchen and fellowship hall. But it's a very small structure for what we need for 80 people. And so a lot of prep work had to go into making this place suitable for an ultimate workout camp. We built approximately 12 shower stalls out of plywood and 2x4s. We have garden hoses out there hooked up for their showers. We brought in extra porta potties. We sectioned out the areas for where we would put the female tents and the male tents and the staff couples.
It wasn't perfect, especially on some days more than others when storms surprised the group on more than one occasion. But it was home, and this was Ultimate Workout.
I think that's one of the things I love most about Ultimate Workout is a lot can happen on Ultimate Workout, and we rarely have people complaining and down in the dumps. You really have a lot of high spirit, high energy, and just a willingness to go with it and to make the best out of any situation.
When we come back, we dive into the work of the project and the impact the volunteers are having on the community.
It's unique, it's simple, it's affordable. This is the One Day Church, Maranatha's worship solution in remote areas of Africa for church families who have no church home. A frame and a roof is the beginning. Local church members do the rest. The One Day Church starts at $7,500, a price which can be divided into $1,500 shares. Each share comes with a photo of the church you helped build. The One Day Church, a home for our church family.
Most Ultimate Workout experiences offer opportunities for volunteers to serve in a variety of ways by rotating through tasks, and this year was no different.
I was excited to find out that you could do a bunch of different things each day, and it wasn't as hard as I expected.
The main project was to build a school in Kayenta. Unfortunately, there were permit delays for construction, so, stepping out in faith, Maranatha got creative.
Came up with a plan to panelize framed walls, and it's worked really well. We've never done, to my knowledge, frame construction. It's always been block walls, but being able to do the framed walls, the kids have done phenomenal.
When completed, the school will be the only Adventist school in the area. Lorraine Whitehorse, a Kayenta church member and longtime member of the community, believes the school will be a critical tool for sharing the gospel with the Navajo people.
When I was growing up, I never had the opportunity to learn about God. I never had the opportunity to appreciate that part of knowledge. And I was introduced to Christianity after high school. There are people like me that are ready to accept God, but we don't know about Him. We don't know that He's there for us. And I think there are people here, even though they don't speak English, even though they never known about Jesus, that they're ready to learn. They're ready to be embrace Jesus Christ and what He has done for us.
For those not on hammer duty, volunteers got to help with health education. Another team ran Vacation Bible School.
But I would probably say the best part was the VBS yesterday. I got to work with all the little kids that were very friendly, very happy to be with us, and quite funny.
Everyone got a chance to rotate through kitchen duty, helping to feed the volunteers.
crumbs if you want to.
And the team with the most variety in their daily tasks? Outreach for local church members. Depending on the day, volunteers got to paint, weed, clean, garden, or do maintenance.
I am on the outreach team, and today we're working for a local church member who asked us to come and put dirt over the foundation, like the concrete foundation of their house, and cover it up, and then put rocks on top to keep the dirt from blowing away and washing out. So that's what we're doing today.
This is Kara, and she grew up in this area and lives here now. And this is her childhood home.
I think it was a year ago that our pastor, our current lay person, was saying that the Maranatha might be coming out. And we were excited because Maranatha usually, it seemed like build something in 3 days or something. He started making plans to help our church members to get what they need done around their homes, and so we were excited about that, and we're grateful that they actually don't mind doing some of the hard work, and they're very helpful, and they're willing to do all of this stuff for us. And my mom's very grateful because she's been trying to get this going, and it's just too hard because it's just us ladies here most of the time, and we don't have the big muscles to do all this stuff. So.
About 10 minutes further up the road, volunteers helped another family with an unusual task.
This is in Monument Valley, Utah. And they're here to pick up some trashes, and for my uncle who just passed away about a week and a half ago, and we had our funeral for him yesterday. And now the Maranathas are here trying to pick up some of the trash that he left behind. And he was an alcoholic for many, many years, mostly all his life.
As the few Christians in their family, Priscilla and her sister were the only relatives willing to deal with the situation.
A lot of our tradition in our Navajo culture, there's a lot of taboo involved, and especially when a person dies, they don't want to touch none of their stuff or even come to their home.
The young volunteers spent 2 days at the property helping the family. For first-time volunteer Samuel Montero Gomez, the work gave him a whole new perspective.
I've never been around anyone or anything like this. I have changed, I think I have. I'm not the same from before because I haven't seen how people actually live, how much, sometimes we complain about our life, but we don't know how much blessings we actually have. To have a house, to have a clean road, to not have trash laying everywhere. We have a perspective on God is not just someone who's there, but like you can actually feel him. Like here it's just like he's with us, like he's doing the work with us. It's as if I'm picking up the trash and he's also picking up the trash with me.
In the end, the volunteers loaded up large pieces of furniture and bags of garbage to be hauled away.
I would say thank you very much. We couldn't have done it without you. It's just wow. So we really, really, really appreciate your help, and otherwise we would have been here for the next month, 2 months, who knows, but you made it so that it's doable, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
After more than a year of limited church services, school, camps, and other events in person, it's only natural for everyone to wonder if the dynamic would be different on this year's Ultimate Workout.
Kind of talked about it in our staff sessions before the teenagers got here, that what's going to be the impact or difference in this Ultimate Workout because of COVID and the pandemic. And there was mixed feedback on what would happen, but I think most thought there's going to be an intensity of one direction or the other. It would either be more inclusive or more reclusive. And I think the impact has definitely been more inclusive to where there's a higher energy, there's a greater appreciation for being in corporate worship and praise.
One of the reasons that we think it might be is because of COVID and the effect that it's had on teenagers and the isolation that many of them have faced, and now being in a group, a relatively safe group because of the measures that we took, where they can really just interact and have fun with people their own age and see people from around the world and just get to be with their peers.
Isabella Guerrero traveled all the way from Belgium for her second Ultimate Workout. She says this has been her first big gathering with other teens.
COVID for me has been very isolating. Where I live, the restrictions there were a lot of restrictions. We couldn't really meet, even just with friends, with 2 or 3 friends. And I guess you could say a bit lonely. Coming this year, especially after not going to church for a year and a half because it was shut down, I really hope to grow spiritually with God and reconnect with Him.
Now in Arizona, she's finding the best of both because she's not only surrounded by fellow teenagers, but teenagers who are seeking a true connection to God.
I think what makes the Ultimate Workout thing so unique is because of how you can tell how genuinely everyone here wants to make a difference in the world, not only in their spiritual life, but like in other people's lives as well.
The kids here are actually committed to Christ, and you can see in their lives and how they treat people, even the staff. Like, they're not faking it.
One of the things that has been especially impactful is knowing that it's okay to talk about Jesus. Jesus can be cool, and no one's going to. And if they are going to judge you, then that's on them.
Brendan Westgate has been the spiritual coordinator for Ultimate Workout since 2017. He leads the morning and evening worships and serves as a spiritual mentor for the volunteers. For this year's program, Brandon knew he was working within an unusual context.
So our theme this year is unity in diversity. And while you could probably go a few different directions with that theme, we've decided to take a very direct approach because we recognize that a lot of our churches have suffered from division on numerous fronts, some caused by racial tension, some caused by political divisions and concerns over coronavirus. It's a hoax, or it's something that's going to kill you tonight, whether I should wear a mask, whether I should get vaccinated. And our students, a lot of these participants here on Ultimate Workout have had to do virtual school, and so it's just been a really challenging year where a lot of people have felt very isolated or alienated from people that they quote unquote thought they knew. Our world church is divided on many fronts, and yet there is one thing that unites us, and it's Christ, and it's the mission that Christ has given us. And so just trying to refocus our young people back to a sense of commonality, back to a sense of unity, so that they can recognize that, hey, we may think differently about this, that, or the other, but ultimately in Christ, we are united.
The theme was exactly what the volunteers needed to hear, and everyone came hungry for worship and a sense of unity.
The first night we had the kids here on this campus, it was electric. And you could just feel God here. What I've noticed about these young people, which is really encouraging, is that it seems like we have some young people on fire for the Lord.
The worship service at this Ultimate Workout has been speechless. I've been at a loss for words every worship.
The worships have been like nothing I've ever experienced. They have been like every night is like you feel the Holy Spirit there. You know that God is in that place. You can feel His presence, and the music, the speaking, just the whole atmosphere and the way that everyone has come together is just, it's amazing.
I think when you have young people together all in one place and you can create a safe space for them, then they're willing to be open, they're willing to be vulnerable, and they're willing to actually have discussions that they probably would never have at home, in their church or in their school or anywhere else.
People hide the fact that they're broken. People hide when they're hurt because no one wants to show that they're weak inside. No one wants to show that they can't just put it behind them and can't deal with it by themselves.
And so I think when people realized that it was okay to be real and to be raw and acknowledge the fact that you're hurting, it just made people stop and think and start to reconsider everything that society teaches about hiding your hurt, I think.
Loretta Spivey has been on multiple Ultimate Workouts, and she's witnessed year after year the Holy Spirit at work in the hearts of the volunteers during the project.
They're not different people. They didn't get smarter on the plane. They didn't get deep thoughts on the plane. So this is who they are, but they don't get an opportunity to express that.
I think churches do prayer and Bible study pretty well. I think that's sort of a big part of what we do as a church. And I think the thing that's missing from the church experience is something that's present on an Ultimate Workout, and that is actually becoming the hands and feet of Jesus, actually doing something for Jesus. And I think that's the big thing you get on Ultimate Workout is the doing part.
After days of doing the work of building, from building a school, to a garden, to a community, the experience culminated in a special agape feast and 3 stations of worship. First, an ordinance of humility. Next, volunteers were asked to write down the name of a person they needed to forgive and something they needed forgiveness for. Then they nailed the paper on the cross. And last, communion. The next day, the volunteers worshiped with the Kayenta congregation, singing hymns in the Navajo language and listening to testimonies from the members. Then they headed an hour north to a river in Utah where 17 teenagers committed their hearts to Jesus.
It just doesn't get old. How can watching God change someone's life get old? They're opening their hearts, they're opening their minds to see God, to hear God, to listen to Him, to be influenced by Him.
10 days of serving and building. 10 days of connecting with fellow believers. 10 days of growing in faith, love, and unity. 10 days that were 2 years in the making. A mission trip that almost didn't happen, but ultimately it did. Ultimately, God found a way.
These young people, they may be going through these experiences and helping the community, but it will somehow shape their destiny if they keep following Jesus. It's really powerful. This experience is really powerful. It shapes you who you are.
Ultimate Workout is a great experience for those for teens who are wanting to get out there, maybe go somewhere new with a great, amazing group of people.
Ultimate Workout is an amazing experience for young people to connect with each other and connect with Christ in a safe, non-judgmental environment.
Ultimate Workout is where you can kind of share life with a bunch of people that you didn't know before, but you kind of create a community with, and you get to become closer to God. You get to kind of get out of your comfort zone a bit. You get to serve others, serve God, serve people around you.
Ultimate Workout for me is a trip where you can be united with a lot of people your age. It's really empowering to just see a lot of people your age come together, be close with God, while serving other people in the community around you.
Ultimate Workout is beyond what I can explain, really. It's the spiritual presence is just beyond. It's extravagant.